Hello and welcome back to the NBA DFS Slate Breakdown. For Monday, March 10th, we're back. We're breaking it down. We got 10 games to go over on both slates, and all 10 games start within an hour of each other. So it's going to be an exciting, fast-paced lock with a ton of news likely hitting us. We're going to be breaking as much of it as we can down right now. I'm your host, Tyler Wiemann, at FlatTyler83 on your DFS sites and Twitter. Now come join us at LineStar. $39.99 per month gets you access to all we do, all the props, all the DFS. You get it all one low price. We also have the yearly option for $239.99. Now, let's jump in position by position, starting with the point guard position. And let's make sure we got this set up right. All right. Jared Butler, the highest owned point guard, going in at 33% owned. The situation here is, once again, Philadelphia is very limited with healthy players. They also are limiting minutes to some of their younger, newer players like Quentin Grimes. So with that, Jared Butler should get plenty of minutes. Right now, we do have him as starting. Really have no idea if he actually does or not. Regardless, I think there's going to be plenty of minutes for him. And personally, I'd rather him coming off the bench. I know it is a little more questions if he gets the minutes, but the ownerships are going to be much, much lower. And I am very interested in him in either position, off the bench or starting. I think his price is too low for the amount that he's going to have to play. We have him at 26.5 minutes, and he played 29 last time. There could be more minutes. But I think 26.5, either coming off the bench or starting, is somewhat secure. You know, I think I would be surprised if he played under in this situation with their injury situation. Next, we got John Morant, 8,500. He is too cheap. Last two games, played 37 and 35 minutes. Those minutes inching up are super interesting when you consider how high of a ceiling he has. This is a guy that really should probably be more like low 9Ks or mid 9Ks if he's going to play 35 minutes. So I'm very interested in John Morant. You could even make a case for him to be 10K with this situation. So I'm going to have a lot of John Morant. Do not mind eating some chalk and going with him versus a Suns team that's not good versus point guard. Now, pivot times. Obviously, we got to talk about SGA. I would expect Chet Holmgren to sit on the back-to-back. So that is kind of the basis of this. If Chet plays, I'll roll back a little bit of SGA, but I am very interested in SGA. However, I do want him with a Denver player. Denver's going to be without some guys, and Jokic is questionable. He is going to warm up to attempt to play, so I'd say probably a little more on the probable side of questionable, but, we're not totally sure here. But I want SGA if I'm also using a Denver guy. If Denver can stay in this game and SGA has to play 37, 38 minutes, the ceiling is giant, and I don't mind getting some SGA. But I do prefer going to Luka at 12K. I think Luka with no LeBron, no Hayes, no Dorian Finney-Smith is going to just have to do a ton. I mean, his line right now is like 30.5 points, 8.5 assists, 8.5 rebounds. So the chance of him hitting a triple-double in this situation is extremely high. And a 30-point triple-double at that. I love Luka. I'm going to get a ton of him. So far without LeBron, he's at like 1.85 fantasy points per minute for the Lakers, which I do not expect him to stay at that type of level without LeBron, but it just goes to show you this system is going to be built around him when he's on the court. So I like Luka in this spot with no LeBron. Right now, I'm going to have a ton of them. They're only 5.5 point favorites. So it could be a close game where Luka plays a ton. He is technically still questionable. We got to watch that, but I'm very interested in him. Dyson Daniels, 7,600. Now, it's a huge pace down spot, unfortunately, for Daniels. And he generally likes more pace-up spots, but we do have a 236 total. The other thing is we're dealing with the 76ers, like, C team at this point. You know, they're Quentin Grimes, the guy they traded for, is like their star right now. Jared Butler, a guy they signed off the street, is going to be a key piece in this system tonight. So it just goes to show you the 76ers are not that great. Not that we didn't already know that, but it does lead to more steals, more blocks, all that, and that is where Dyson Daniel derives his value. I am interested. I'm going to have some. 7,600 is super expensive for him, but he does have that ability to go for 50, and there's not that many guys at 7,600 that can do that. Spencer Dinwiddie, 5,700. I don't love the pick, I gotta say that, but it's a pace-up spot, high scoring, and we know Dinwiddie has a ceiling when he gets it going, and this Spurs matchup's a good one. I'm going to have some Spencer Dinwiddie. I don't love it, but hard not to when I know he's going to play big-time minutes. Dallas only has, I think, 9 guys that could play tonight. We have some questionable guys, and there's like 2 or 3 of those guys that can't play big minutes. You know, we got Caleb Martin, Dwight Powell, and Dante Exum. All 3 can't play big minutes. So there's only really 6 guys that can go out and play big minutes. I think all the healthy guys that can play those big minutes are going to play solid minutes. So I don't mind some Dinwiddie there. Getting over... I just realized that, getting over to DK, point guard, Jared Butler, Ja Morant, Dante Exum. Dante Exum's 4,200. Look, I don't mind Exum because he's very good from a fantasy point per dollar situation, but they just aren't giving him the minutes. There's plenty other places I'd rather go on Dallas at this point, which are more likely to get some minutes. And we talked about everybody else. Getting on over to shooting guard on FanDuel. Booker, 9,200, 23% owned. It's in a high-scoring game. They're 4-point underdogs. I don't mind going here. There's no Bradley Beal. The ceiling is a little higher with Beal, so I don't mind getting a little Booker. I do think 23% is probably a little high for him, but he's good enough, and there's enough value that I don't mind having some. Austin Reeves, 7,500. No LeBron, so it's an obvious boost there, but it's not the normal boost with Reeves. He's only at like 0.85 fantasy point per minute with Luke on the court and LeBron off. It is a small sample size. Luke has only been there for a little bit, but it does scare me going too heavy on Reeves. Now, I think he's probably similar to how he is with, LeBron on the court, which is mid 0.9 fantasy point per minute, 0.94, 0.95, and then it's an okay matchup versus the Nets. I don't mind getting some Reeves, but I'm not going to go too heavy on him if he stays at this high ownership. Jaylen Brown, 8,500. Obviously, it's a great spot. Utah can't stop anybody. The issue is it's a 16.5 point game. If the Celtics sit more starters, then I might go there. But as it currently stands, where I think Tatum, Brown, White, Holiday are all in, I'm probably not going to have that much. Can he get there? Absolutely. But is it going to be a spot where you had to have him? Probably not. Pivot-wise, Desmond Bane, 8,400. Guy has been on fire. 57, 69, 57, all within the last week. And now he has a good spot versus the Suns. No Jaren Jackson Jr., no Santi Aldama. Those two being out help Desmond Bane tremendously. Without those two, he's at 1.3 fantasy point per minute this season, and in a decent sample size. However, a lot of that is without Ja. Also, Ja being there does pull that number down a little bit. All in all, 8,400 for a guy that just gave me 70. I am absolutely fine to go there. He is somebody that has continually shown us upside. I'm down to some Bane. Daniels we covered. Dinwiddie we covered. Karis LeVert. All right, LeVert is questionable. No clue if he plays. And I don't super love him, but I wanted to like him to just talk about this situation. He is questionable. If he is out, George Niang is going to get bigger minutes, which George Niang becomes more interesting. This role that he has had, he's been playing very, very solid minutes. It's likely Niang or Terrence Mann will pick up those minutes in that situation. So just wanted to bring attention to that. If it was to happen later, I'm interested in Niang if that happens. As it is, I'm interested in Niang a little bit, but I'll just be more interested if Levert's out. Shooting guard on DK, Butler, Bane, and Lonnie Walker. So Lonnie Walker it is, small forward on FanDuel, shooting guard here on DraftKings. I got to have some Lonnie Walker in this situation. Like I said earlier with the 76ers, they're banged up. Not that many guys. They're being careful with some minutes, of guys that they know they're going to be bringing back next year. And with that, guys that are getting the trials with the team, like Lonnie Walker, are getting a chance to show their worth. He played 34 minutes off the bench. I expect him to come off the bench again. I expect 24 to 28 minutes, and at 3,600, 24 to 28 minutes is absolutely fine to me, and I'm going to have some Lonnie Walker. I don't even care that he's high owned. Desmond Bane we talked about, and small forward on FanDuel, we got Najee Marshall, Kevin Durant, and Devin Book. KD is fine, no Bradley Beal, don't mind going there. Najee Marshall, 7,200 on FanDuel. This price is getting up here, but he has become a high usage, high fantasy point per minute guy. 1.18 fantasy point per minute over the last 5 is absolutely wild. And while I think that is not sustainable whatsoever, he's going to have to play big minutes again. 41, 40, 32, 30. I think you can put him in for 34 to 36 minutes very, very safely. Like I said, they got too many guys that are hurt or limited for the guys to not play big minutes, the rest of the guys. Marshall's going to be out there a lot. I'm fine going back to him in a good spot versus the Spurs with a 232 total. And pivot-wise, we talked about Walker, talked about Bane, Zaire Williams, 4,500. Played 32 minutes last game. We have him at 30 minutes right now. It is a bare bones Lakers team. Should be, a close game at least. I don't mind some Lonnie Walker at 4,500. When he plays a full game and he starts, he's averaging 23.3 fantasy points per minute. I mean, that's not too far off the 6X, and that's at 27 minutes where we have them playing at 30 with their injury situations and all that. So I think Zaire is a fine, safe play. Slightly worry about the ceiling with him. That's my only aspect when we have so much value we can go to. Jalen Williams, 8,600, 5% owned. It is versus the Nuggets. Like I said, I don't expect Chet to play on the back-to-back. With that, I think Jalen Williams is just in a prime spot for a very good game, in a game that could stay closer because there's no Chet. Very interested in Jalen, and I'm going to have a ton of him if there is no Chet. I got to say that if there is no Chet. I'm going to have a little bit if there is Chet, but just not as hard. Karis LeVert, we covered. Small forward on DK. Najee, Exum, and Jaylen Brown, all three we have talked about. So power forward on FanDuel. Najee Marshall, KD, Jared Vanderbilt. Covered the first two. We got to talk about Jared Vanderbilt, 4,500. He started last game, played 29 minutes. If this guy's going to start again and play 29 minutes, I am going to have a ton of him. He is a very good fantasy point per minute producer, can get steals, blocks, do all that dirty work to make the game easier for Luka. I'm absolutely interested in Vanderbilt if he's going to play big-time minutes. And I think 16% owned would be way too low if he's starting. Pivot, we talked about Jalen Williams. Brandon Clark, 5K. 5K is pricey. He's likely to come off the bench, but the situation is no Aldama, no Jaren Jackson. Zach Edey is questionable. I think there's going to be some minutes out, and if minutes, for him out there. And if Edey's out, there could be big time minutes. So if he, Edey's out and we got those big time minutes, I'm going to be very interested in him. There's low side at this. There's a lot of downside at this price, but I think the upside is worth some chances there. Power forward on DK, Marshall, Kessler, Edwards, and Jason Tatum. Edwards 4K. He started, the last 3 of 4 games. He's been starting at center because they're so banged up. Now Powell could start. It could be Edwards. It doesn't really matter. Edwards is going to play probably out of the center spot and some decent minutes. I'm fine going with some Edwards. We have him at 29 minutes. Don't love it. There's another spot where I question the upside, but he has been able to give us 30 in counting the 28, say 3 games over the last few weeks. So there's a little bit of upside at that price tag. I just don't know if there's more upside than 30 points. My only hesitation with him. Tatum's been on absolute fire. The issue with me, or for me, with this situation, it's a 17-point spread. The highest likelihood is this is an absolute blowout and Tatum plays 28 to 30 minutes. I don't think he can get there in 28 to 30 minutes. The games he has his real upside. Close versus Cleveland, plays 41 minutes. Close versus Lakers, play 45 minutes. Semi-close versus the Spurs, play 38 minutes. I don't think this is a game where he's going to get extra minutes. And while he could put up 50 in 3 quarters, that's not going to win you anything. It's going to help your cash lineups, but it's not going to win you a GPP, and we're trying to win a GPP. So that is my issue with Tatum, and I think he's going over-owned for that. I never like to talk about blowouts because they're very hard to predict, but you got, a Utah Jazz team that's tanking, and Boston's too good. Center on FanDuel, Vanderbilt, Orlando Robinson, Adam Bana. Orlando Robinson, 4,100. Very similar situation as the other day when, there's nobody really behind him at the center spot. I think he's going to play decent minutes. It's a great spot versus the Wizards. I'm going to have some at 4,100. I think he's just a little too cheap. And just like Kessler Edwards, 30-ish is probably his ceiling. I'll have some. I'm not going to go super, super heavy on it. Adam Bana at 3,700. Played 32 minutes off the bench the other day. It's a very similar situation for the 76ers today where, the guys that they are starting or, a crew of 3-4 guys, they're not willing to play big time minutes, and there's only 9 healthy guys. So some of these bench guys that are cheap are going to get big time minutes. Bana is one of them. 3,700 is interesting. Now, the one thing I'll say, he's going to be coming off the bench. It is very, very questionable how many minutes he will play. And with that, I am slightly concerned here, but I'm going to be playing some without a doubt. Drummond is also questionable, so if he's out, it only raises that likelihood. He did only play 10 minutes the other night, which allowed Bana to play that big time minutes. So there is some worry that hey, Drummond plays his 22, 24 minutes. Then there's only really, 22, 24 minutes left over for Bana. So I don't think he plays 32 again. But mid, high 20s and 3,700 in a good spot is interesting. Pivot wise, I got to talk about Jokic. All I talked about was low priced players in that high owned section. How do you get different? You flip the script a little bit. Pay up at center for the best player in basketball that is the most likely guy to go for 90 or 100 in this league and in a matchup where he's going to have to go max effort. Absolutely interested. One thing you got to remember is he's questionable. It is a back-to-back. Could he sit? Absolutely. Expectation is he's going to warm up to play. I'm interested. Not going to go super, super heavy on him, but, I mean, he's going too low for the upside that he has. And then Brandon Clark we talked about, and let's get over to center on DraftKings. Edwards, Okongwu, and Orlando Robinson. Okongwu at 6,800 is too cheap. It's a decent matchup. He's back to playing solid minutes. If this guy plays 32 to 35 minutes, he's going to grade out great. We have him at 30 right now because these minutes have been all over the place over the last month. But lately, averaging 32 minutes a game over the last 5. And there is some upside for additional minutes when he's playing well. He can hit 40s, 50s at 6,800. The upside's there. I'm fine having some Okongwu in this situation. And that'll do it for us today, guys. Hope you all have a good one. We'll be back tomorrow. Tomorrow is only a 4-game slate, I believe, so probably a quick one tomorrow. But I'm going to get it out. Have a good one. Peace.